Hey there, it's week 12 of my weight loss journey. Week 12. Oh my gosh, that's like a quarter for my business-minded friends. What can I do in one quarter? Now, last week, we reported out 2 weeks in a row because I went on vacation. 10 days in restaurants eating, no exceptions, and I did not gain weight that time, which is amazing. Super, super exciting. Super amazing. And, I wasn't a food snob at all. Now, I made a prediction that this could possibly be week 12, could possibly be the week where I hit the 20 pounds loss mark. So we're going to talk through that. And at the end, I'll let you know what happened and if we are at that 20 pound mark or not. And then I've been thinking more critically about, okay, we've got this, we've got some successes going with the scale, but I also know that this hard work is the easy part. And actually, when I get my body composition to a place where I really am happy about it, and I really feel like it's meeting my I have a combination of primary number one health goals. Number one, health. And that has really nothing to do with the scale. But the way I'm eating healthy, etc., does result in the scale reducing. I've also got, I'll put it right out on the table, I've got some vanity goals. Yeah. And I know, especially if you're like me and you were raised the way I was, vanity is an evil word. Bah. You know what? I'm less and less moralizing what we do with our bodies and what we put into our mouth and how much we exercise. I'm like, why do we make this a moral judgment? We don't need to. And I've pretty much let go of that, but not entirely because I'm talking about it here. So it's top of mind. Of all the thousands of things I could talk about that happened last week, I'm talking about vanity and whether or not vanity is evil or good or bad, or whether we should even care. Okay. We're 12 weeks in. So I'm going to shift a little bit. The first 10, 12 weeks, we talked about week over week what was happening. Now I'm going to shift and go into a rapid fire, what was kind of the same old success pieces, because I don't want to lose track. I don't want to lose sight of what are the daily grind kind of things that are enabling the success. However, now we're in that point where it's kind of similar week after week. So I'll fly through some of those daily success pieces, and then I'll go through and talk through different topics that are more novel topics. Like this week, we're going to talk a little bit about cleaning out my closet, cleaning out my kitchen, restaurant, and social stuff. So we're going to talk about some topics that you can really take with yourself and maybe glean some lessons there that could maybe help you in your success. As you listen to all of this, I would love to help you with your own weight management journey. And I call that a weight management journey because weight loss in and of itself, yeah, I know. If you listen, you know. Okay, so there we go. So same old. What's going on here? So first of all, I'm pretty much keeping my calories the same. I'm watching how much protein I eat, how much fiber I eat, and how much fat I eat. I'm not really worried too much about carbs and whether I'm in keto or not. I'm not doing a keto diet, but if I keep my calories low, but not too low, the carbs naturally go low because you can't eat as much protein as you need to and eat high carbs at the same time. It just becomes too much calories. Whew, there's more. I am really watching how well I sleep and managing my sleep big time. I'm making that a huge, huge priority. I got my life into a place where I have less stress than I have had in literally years. I am going to the hot tub at my complex here pretty much every single day. In fact, it's super fun because I'm like the old lady of the group, and I don't see myself as old, but I get in the hot tub and almost all these kids, I know people in their 20s are not kids, but they're all like, you're older than my mom. Anyhow, That was fun. But in fact, some of them even call me mom. A lot of them are military kids. And so they have no family. They're moved away from mommy, for the first time. So it's kind of fun. I did roll my eyes though when I went to the hot tub last week and I came and they're like, "Hey, mom's here." And then they're like, "Guess what? You're going to be a grandma." I'm like, "No, I'm too young to be a grandma." "No, you're not. My mom's a grandma and she's younger than you." Anyhow, what that is about is the stress reduction, stress management. So going to that hot tub deliberately to calm my nervous system, right? So sleep, massive hydration, drinking, not massive hydration, not overly hydration, but really being committed to hydration. My salt and electrolytes get low, potassium specifically. In fact, my dad ended up in the ER once because his potassium was so low that they were afraid his heart was going to stop. So managing that for me. So all these things, those are the same old. Keeping my kitchen food safe, bringing food into my kitchen that I love and I enjoy and I look forward to and meets the needs of my macros, keeping track of my macros. If you don't know what macros are, go back to a previous episode and find the one on macros. Yeah, same old. All right, what's new this week? I am so close to the 20-pound mark, and I'll tell you at the end of this that I thought maybe, just maybe, that some of the clothes I have stashed away in bins in my closet, the favorite clothes, the skirt you paid too much for, the leather jacket, that you've had forever and you adore. I adore the really super cute tops that just didn't fit anymore, but I couldn't bear to get rid of them, I pulled it out and I started looking through them to see what would fit. And even after a okay, I'm really close to losing 20 pounds. I'll tell you at the end. There we go. I just blurt right out of my mouth. Even dancing around that milestone, none of the clothes I had stacked away fit yet, even with a 20-pound loss. Now, that does not mean that I am not seeing results in how I look and the measurements of my body. Not at all. What that means is I waited way too long before I bought bigger clothes. Yeah. So I got a ways to go. I probably have another at least 10 pounds to go before I'll fit in any of these clothes that got away. But that was kind of a cool thing to think like, maybe some of these will fit. So that was a new fun one. Now, a couple weeks ago, I can't believe I told you the story of how I went into my kitchen after my son, moved out and I became an empty nester. And I was like, I'm going to clean out my kitchen of any junk, any leftover teenage junk. And there wasn't a lot. And I can't believe I told you the story of like how I opened the kitchen cupboard and there's the tortillas I knew I probably wouldn't eat. And I couldn't get rid of them. And I literally bawled in the kitchen, like, who's going to eat the tortillas? My son is not here anymore. And they will be bad before, yeah. Well, something mindset and heart shifted in me when we got back from my trip to Washington, D.C. with him, where I went in the kitchen and I was actually able to clean out the kitchen. And I didn't totally lose it. And I was cognizant of the fact that I was a little emotionally not numb, triggered, a little emotionally sensitive to it. But it wasn't like I felt like I was throwing my baby out with the bathwater. So I was pretty proud of myself. I mean, I got rid of pancake mix. And now remember, this is just me living in my own house, right? I got rid of jars of condiments like barbecue sauce and stuff that were full of sugar. And it actually felt somewhat uplifting. And I had a sense of pride in myself. Like, okay, 3 weeks ago, Lynn, you emotionally weren't able to do this. You're human. It's okay to be human. Could I have gritted it and forced myself? Yeah, but I don't know. I just wasn't ready to rip that Band-Aid off. So it took, about 3 weeks later, I was like, okay, I was able to do that. Now, telling you this story right now, if you were in the room with me and you allowed a long, pregnant, awkward pause, and you're like, tell me, how does that make you feel? I would start crying. I'd be a puddle. So we're going to change topics and move along. There we go. Okay. Another piece that I think is super important for success going forward is restaurant confidence. So after 10 days of eating out on the road, my level of confidence of eating in a restaurant in a way that I won't gain weight. I think it's unrealistic to eat for a whole week at a restaurant and actually lose weight. For me, I think that's unrealistic. Maybe for you, not for me. But to be able to go and maintain, and remember, Holy Grail here. What's the Holy Grail we're going for? Maintain and enjoy the time and enjoy what I eat and not just order, sad salads out of punishment because, actually enjoy it and not worry about eating, exactly right all the time and being able to pick options that are a little more healthy, all that whole big kahuna there, which is a lot. My confidence has skyrocketed. I feel like I could actually do this. Now, that was in Washington, D.C., where there is lots of quality options, not necessarily like somewhere like San Diego, where there's tons of super healthy options, where you could be like, I'll go to the healthy restaurants and you get wonderful, super, super healthy options and it's easy-ish. DC is easy. I don't know about if I went back to some of the cities in the South where it's like sweet tea and deep fried and barbecue and here's your biscuit and your butter and that's what's made with lard and more butter and here's some honey and it's all so good. I'm not sure I have confidence to be able to travel there for a whole week, but we'll see. So restaurant confidence, super awesome. Being able to order with confidence that I'm still going to love my life and live it. Super great. Another piece that's shifting for me. And it's the social focus and the social piece. You would think that because I am who I am and I do what I do, you would think that I only surround myself with people who are just like me. No? Okay, good. When we change, when we focus on our lives, when we say, now I am going to do this for me, I am making myself a priority, I am making this change. When we do that, we are changing who we are fundamentally as a human. We are changing how we see the world. We are changing how we approach things. That can tend to freak out the people in our lives. Whether it's a good change or a bad change, whatever, any change can freak out the people in our lives. But we are the sum of the people in our lives. Yeah. And I know I'm the sum of the people in my life. So over the last quarter, I have had an opportunity, and granted, my situation feels a little unique, but not entirely unique in that at the time I started this weight loss journey, I mean, I had recently divorced. I moved to a new city where I knew nobody. I became an empty nester. Like everything changed already. So it was easy to do just like this, just throw in some more change on top of all this change. Nobody will notice. We'll just, put it in there. And I was a little curious and nervous of what would happen to my friend circle. And as you know, I've got a couple dear friends who are full on supportive, huge. So I've doubled down on those relationships and those friendships who are just like super supportive of this. I kind of started to identify who are the folks where this topic makes them nervous. And I backed off and not really worried about making this just because it's a big topic for me doesn't mean it has to be a big topic for me with everybody. And so yeah, I'm kind of putting different friendships and relationships in different boxes. I've got some friends where this topic is not okay for them anyway. And I'm like, okay, this is not a topic I bring up. Doing all of that. And then I recently had a friend who I connected with who wasn't really fully aware of what I was doing because I'd not connected with this friend in a long time. And my friend shared with me some very similar goals that they were going on and about. And they were actually nervous sharing with me what they were doing to make their life healthier and more vibrant and more energy. And some of this was kind of a big deal for them. And I was like, yeah, right on. And here's what's going on with me. And I was actually wondering if you were going to be one of my friends who, ended up fading some because, some of our habits were just too disconnected versus, being on this path together. And I'm just super excited that friend is actually, we're going to be real champions for each other. And so in some ways that camaraderie of that mission, that common goal is bringing us together. So that is super exciting. And then being an empty nester, I'm able to really think, how do I want to spend my free time? What do I want to do? And it's a combination for me of building deeper friendships with people who really have growth mindsets. That sounds like a buzzword. I need to come up with a better word. People who are really committed to personal growth and really committed to living a deep, connected, meaningful life. Those are going to be my people. I also love getting out in nature and doing hikes and walking, but I am no longer a peak bagger. A peak bagger is somebody who's like, here's my goal. I'm going to run this half marathon. Look at me. I ran a half marathon. Hey, there's a top of a mountain. I'm going to go to the top of that mountain. Check. Did that. I used to be a big time peak bagger, right? I mean, I've done 10 triathlons. I think I've done 10 half marathons. I don't know, lost track, tons of those kind of stuff. I am no longer a peak bagger. I am more interested in being in nature and exploring and strolling around nature. And it just happens to include exercise, but I'm not like, ooh, this is a 4-mile hike. So in 4 miles, I should be able to get to the top of this hike in X amount of time if I keep X amount of pace and let me bring X amount of snacks and drinks and then we'll be back at this amount of time. And it's like, nope, I'm just going to go. I'm going to love it. And if I get to a spot on the hike or the trail where I want to just sit and pull out a notebook or read or just hang in nature in that one spot for an hour, I will. And I did. I did that last week. Super cool. The last topic, the last novel topic I want to talk about is the concept of fatigue and the fatigue scale. So one of the things, a lot of times when we go to a doctor and the doctor says, what's your pain scale of, 0 to 10? How much pain do you have? And we know that pain scale in a doctor's office is so wrought with so much just difficulty because it's just hard to interpret, what kind of pain? Is it tingling pain? Is it burning pain? Is it stabbing pain? Is it aching pain? Is it pain that makes me wince? Is it pains that makes me go to, delirious? Yeah, we know that. I've been talking with a few friends of mine in one of the chronic illnesses groups that I hang out in, that is actually one of the groups that's part of the Grit and Grace Chronic Foundation, which I sit on the board of. Their mission is to help individuals learn how to deal with chronic illness in your life, how to feel like you still have a meaningful life, and just be there for people. Just be a support for people who have chronic illness. And one of the topics that came up this last week that was huge for me was the concept of, similar to the pain scale, what is your fatigue scale? And so we had this graphic with this 10-point fatigue scale, where, in fact, I'm just going to pull it up here just a second here. Boop, boop, ba-doop, ba-doo, doo-doo. Okay, fatigue scale. On a scale of 1 to 10, what is your fatigue? Okay, if you're on a 1 on the fatigue scale, you're slightly tired but still able to carry on with no difficulty. If you're on a 10 on the fatigue scale, you can barely sit up, need assistance getting out of bed. So let's see, a 2 would be everything is, on the fatigue scale would be everything is more effort than usual, but still able to carry on. A 3 is tired, makes it hard to actively enjoy activities that are usually fun, but still able to work or study with some difficulty. A 6 is too tired to go out, but still able to move around the house, able to do activities that require little energy or focus. Preparing a meal is difficult, can't work or study. So the reason this was so remarkable for me is because I looked back at when I had my issues with chronic illness. And I realized that for about 3 years, I never got below a 3 on the fatigue scale. So let me read that to you. A 3 is tiredness, makes it hard to enjoy activities that are usually fun, but still able to work or study with some difficulty. 24/7 for about 3 years, I never got below a 3. Always tired. That was like my best, feeling my very, very best. My very worst would go up to a 10, but almost for about 3 years, almost every day, I pretty much spent all day, every day at a 4, which is possibly able to do some work or study depending on the effort, may choose to work or study from home, avoiding activities that require a lot of energy. Yeah, so about actually a full year, that was the best I could do 24/7. And then for about a year or two, my every day, I would get to a 6 or a 7. So a 7 is almost every day for about 2 or 3 years. When it was its worst, every day I could count on at a 7, it would be, doesn't need to lie down and can walk around the house, but can't stand for more than a few minutes without resting, finding it hard to eat some foods, can't really focus on anything easily. Or a 6, too tired to go out, but still able to move around the house and do activities that require little energy or focus, can't really work or study. So that's where I lived for several years. The last couple weeks, I have been down way low on the fatigue scale. In fact, pretty much a 0 to a 2. That is huge. Yeah, I have gone from fatigue being a massive get in my way, fucking up my life, to a 0 to a 2. And a 2 is everything's a little more difficult than usual, but still able to carry on. And that 2 over the last few weeks has been the worst that I feel in a day. And that is worth celebrating. Woohoo! So that feels like a breakthrough for me. That feels like a huge breakthrough for me. Did I get that breakthrough because I am losing weight? I do not believe so. I believe it's because sleep, hydration, eating super healthy, cutting out alcohol, managing stress, making my life more simple. All of those things which happen to result in the scale going down. Those are those things. I could have not done those things. The scale could still have gone down. Yeah, I'm preaching to the choir here, aren't I? Yeah, woohoo! I could have not done those things. The scale could have gone down and I would have been even worse on the fatigue scale. So that I love that, just the way of looking at that. So that was a really, really big thing for me. So what were the results of the week? Okay, my data number friends, here we go. Calories. I ate about 1,400 calories in a week. I tracked everything this last week and it was sat right around 1,400 calories, average daily. Protein, 108 grams of protein. That's high protein, not super high protein. Fat grams, 55 grams a day. My goal was 50. 55 is awesome. However, my 55 came because I had several days that were too low and several days that were too high, way too high. So it's all good. Fiber. This one was interesting. My fiber was 14 grams a day average. My goal is 20. I had some hunger this past week and I chalked it up to the previous week of restaurant eating not being as nutrient dense, yada, yada, more sugar in it. And I chalked it up to like, oh, I'm just hungry because, my system's a little whacked out from that. When I look back, I was like, oh, wait a minute. My fiber was low and that is a contributing factor to my hunger too. So this next upcoming week, I'm going to make sure I'm going to do my darndest to keep that fiber closer to the 20 a day. Cause that does a big, big, big job of helping me feel full during the day. Carbs, I haven't been tracking my carbs because carbs are super complicated on so many levels. And when you're eating at a healthy calorie deficit and you're eating high protein, you physically can't overdo your carbs. Yeah. If I have an energy low, like a little bit lower of an energy day, I will go back and say, were my carbs too low? Because that can cause me to have low energy. So the weight. Okay, here we go. Starting at this last week, 164.4 pounds was my starting week. That was my post-vacation week. Remember, the previous 2 weeks combined, I lost just over 1/2 of a pound. So I had this prediction that I would lose quite a bit more this upcoming week. So I started at 164.4, ended at 162.4 for a net loss of the week of 2 pounds. Now that is awesome. 2 pounds is too much too fast for me. But when you look at the last 2 weeks and I had a bunch of salt in my system and other things going on, it averages out over the last 3 weeks to just over 1 pound or just under 1 pound a week. So my total loss from the beginning of this weight loss journey in 12 weeks, 19.6. I am so close to that 20-pound mark. I am dancing all around it. I feel like I can taste it. Now, if I did not go on this vacation, would I be at that 20-pound mark? Hell yeah. Did I regret going on this vacation because I missed the 20-pound mark by 0.4 pounds? No. And actually what happened was I did have that big drop in the middle of the week. I did go down to below 20 pounds. So the scale for 2 days, the scale showed I was down 20.5 pounds. But scales. And I'm doing my Monday morning weights. So My prediction next week, we're going to see, I am going in with some pretty arrogant confidence that I'm going to see the 20-pound mark. I am also next week, I've been getting questions about like, what exactly are you eating? So be prepared. I am going to track not just calories, protein, fiber, fat. I'm also going to track actual meals I'm eating in a day and give you a rapid fire. For breakfast, I ate this and this and this and this. For lunch, I ate this and this and this and this. No filters. I'm not going to pretend I didn't eat anything bad. And I know we shouldn't call food good and bad, but I'm using the agnostic term of food and bad. I'm not moralizing good or bad. I need a different word, but who cares? You know what I mean. And now that I am empty nester and I have nothing going on next week, I really have time to really focus at that. Like, what does the rest of my summer look like? And where do I think I'll be at the end of the summer, and how do I want to spend my time? Yeah. So if you have been saying, hey, I want to know what exactly are you eating, Lynn? That is next week when we get to week 13 report out. I got to tell you, this was an easier week to report out on because I'm feeling really proud of where this is going. And I'm feeling like, gosh darn it, I'm doing it. And when I first started, at week 0, I was a little nervous because I knew on paper I could do this. But I had 3 years of not being able to do it. Yeah. I had 3 years of failing and having amazing aspirations. This time I've been able to actually do it. But I didn't know going into this. And who knows, something might... No, I'm not even going to say the words out. We're not even going to say it. This is going good. We're going to keep it going good. Alrighty, friends. That is the report out for this week. If you would like me to help you dial in what you need to dial in, we can look at your numbers. We can look at your macros. We can pull a plan together for you so you can have a similar journey and dance around your 20-pound mark. Reach out to me, couch2active.com. We can get you, think about 12 weeks from now. 12 weeks from now, what is that for you? Look at your calendar. Where do you want to be in 12 weeks from now? I want to get you there, and you can do this. Alrighty. Take care, y'all. Bye-bye now.